Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Barefoot Parents. I'm your host, Cassie Hutton. Thank you for joining me today on the Barefoot Parenting Podcast. Today is January 23rd, and if you have been following along on my social medias or if you've listened to a few of the last podcasts, I told you about the Nurtured Mother Bundle that I'm participating in. So if you want to know more about that, go to my Instagram, Barefoot Parent, or go to my Facebook page, and you will see in my stories and on my Facebook or any of my social media pages where you can sign up under the Nurtured Mother Bundle and snag my free course that comes out this week. It's only available from the 23rd today through the 30th. So next Tuesday, it's available for 1 week for you to sign up and download this free course. It's valued at $97 whenever it goes live, but it's only free for this 1 week, so go snag it. It is a course on healing birth trauma. So if you have followed me for any amount of time and you know my story, you know I love inner healing and you know I love childbirth. So these two combined, it would only make sense that this would be the first course that I actually write. This is also going to be offered as the bonus course if you participate and sign up for the Exodus Birth Beta Founding Members Program, which will be offered at the end of February, which is also going to be at a very low cost because it's going to be offered for the very first time, and I need a handful of ladies to walk through that course with me. I'm so excited about it. So those two things, go sign up for the Nurtured Mother Bundle. There's tons of free offers in that. Go look at it. It's not necessarily all Christian women, so just be aware of that. I'm just throwing that out there, but there's still amazing resources under that bundle to just bring awareness to self-care for mothers and taking care of yourself and making you and your health and your mental stability a priority. And here in this new year, that's just a great way to start your new year. So you know that I also am going to talk about my Beta Founding Members program for the Exodus Birth course that I'm writing. Kind of got my words fumbled there, but I'm currently writing it, and I'm currently putting it out there that I am taking a handful of women to sign up for this course with me, to walk through this course with me. I'm so excited about it. So things that we're going to cover in the course, I've talked about it for months now, but I'm going to talk about it some more. There's 6 modules in the course, and so I'm going to tell you about the 6 modules plus the bonus lesson of the healing birth trauma that comes at the end of it. And so we're going to cover things like overcoming mindset challenges like fear and the lies that women believe about childbirth. These are even lies that if you've already had a child, these are lies that I even believed up until I had my 3rd child. So this isn't like just for first-time moms or women who've already experienced natural childbirth. This is like even for 2nd and 3rd-time moms that just want a better, even more blissful birth, if that makes sense. We also are going to talk about how to prepare your physical body, nutrition, which is what I'm talking about today. We're in our 3rd series of the nutrition episode, or our 3rd episode of the nutrition series. I should reword that. We're also going to talk about in the birthing course how to bond with your baby through prayer and revelation. Now, this is not bonding with your baby after the baby gets here. This is actually teaching you how to bond with your baby before your baby gets here. All the things that God showed me leading up to my 3rd birth, and how I just received all this amazing revelation about her and her life. And I even saw visions of her face, and it was the first thing that I saw, and I just so connected that vision with what God had already shown me whenever I saw her little face after she was born. And so I'll walk you through all of these things. That's probably the last 3 chapters are my favorite to teach about. And then nutrition comes in, and then overcoming the mindset challenges, because they are just so needed and so important in our culture today, because we believe these lies that childbirth has to be painful, it has to be awful, we have to have all these tests run, we have to be controlled. But if you're healthy, if your baby is growing properly and you are taking care of yourself, there's no reason to believe that you're going to have an awful pregnancy, that you're going to have this painful pregnancy, that you're going to have to be induced, and all of these fearful things that are thrown at you. And then the last two chapters, co-laboring for creation, actually receiving the promise from God about your birth and what He has in store for you. And then the last part where it just culminates and comes all together, where you get to actually have that empowered birth and you actually get to birth the promise. We're going to talk about all of those things. And also, if you sign up for the beta program just means you are a founding member. You are one of the first people to walk through this course with me. You get to give me feedback. You get one-on-one coaching help from me. You get support from me. And you also get that group collaboration, which is so important. But you'll also receive discounts to all of my future courses like Thriving Motherhood, Restoring Godly Wisdom through the 5 H's of Home, plus my postpartum recovery course, which I'm so excited to get out there. Welcome to the Barefoot Parenting Podcast. I'm your host, Cassie Hutton. I help Christian moms have a home birth they desire through education and the Word. If you're an old soul that is passionate about restoring godly wisdom and disconnecting from this interconnected world, then you're in the right place. Let's discuss godly restoration through the 5 H's of home: home birth, homeschool, homemaking, homemade, home remedies, and health. All right, y'all. So in this episode, we're going to dive even deeper into what micronutrients actually are, how you can test for them, and how restoring your micronutrients actually makes balancing your hormones much, much easier. So a reminder of what your micronutrients are. They are your vitamins and minerals. So vitamins like vitamin A, all of the vitamin Bs, C, D, E, and K, and then your minerals like calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, zinc, copper, manganese, selenium, and iodine, and plus all of the other, what they call the trace minerals that like boron and some of those other ones that you don't hear of a lot, but they are also super important for detoxing and just helping your body to fire on all cylinders. And so why is testing your mineral levels more important than hormone testing, gut health testing, and all of the other tests out there, other than maybe blood testing? But the thing with blood testing, especially for women, is that we're on a 28-day cycle. So let's say you go on one day of the month randomly and you go and you want to have your hormones tested, but you went one day out of this 28-day cycle. You need to, first of all, they need to know what day of your cycle are you even on, because what is actually normal for that day within that 28-day cycle. So if you were going to try to do blood testing, that would actually be optimal, but you would actually need to do it for like those 28 days straight to actually get a real overall look at what your hormones are doing day in and day out during your 28-day cycle. So that's really not logical. You don't really want to be pricking yourself 30 days in a row trying to figure out what your hormones are doing. And so there's some other ways of testing your hormones, but if you don't know what your micronutrient levels are doing or your mineral levels, then we're going to get into why it's so important. So let me just kind of keep going here. So the Bible tells us that we are made from the dust. When God formed Adam and Eve, he took the dust from the ground, he took the dust from the ground and he breathed life into him. So the foundation of our human bodies and our makeup is dirt. What is dirt made of? Dirt's made of minerals. When you test your dirt and your ground, if you are testing it to grow any type of food, you're testing the mineral levels and the nutrient levels in your dirt. And if your dirt is not good, if you don't have rich soil, your food's not going to grow good. If your food doesn't grow good, then you eat the food, you're not getting proper nutrients in your food, from your food into your body. Okay, so minerals are the spark plugs of life. They are needed in order to actually produce the hormones. So whenever you're treating hormones and you might see a little bit of improvement, but you're not sure why you can't sustain that improvement, it's because you have not looked at your mineral levels. For example, magnesium is needed for estrogen and progesterone production. Zinc is needed for testosterone production. A proper balance of calcium to potassium ratios are important for thyroid function. Sodium and zinc make HCl for your stomach acid. If you don't have proper stomach acid, you'll open your gut up to infections and other malabsorption issues. So you can't even absorb what you are putting into your body. Then you have things like selenium, iron, and zinc, which are critical for immunity cells. Sodium, potassium. This is when I would work with the nutritionist, she would say there's a sodium potassium pump. And this is needed for your bowel production, which is also critical for digestion and detoxing. We have so many chemicals in our environment today. This is super important for your body to be able to detox all of these chemicals that you're being exposed to every single day. So there's really no need to jump into expensive testing like hormones and gut health testing without knowing proper nutritional status. The foundation is not strong enough when your mineral or micronutrient levels are not properly balanced. And this is why if you're treating hormones or your gut health or any other health issue without addressing mineral imbalances, you'll see minor improvements. You probably will see some improvements, but you'll never be able to sustain that long-term overall health. So I'll let out a little secret here. I'm actually recording this part of this episode after the baby has gotten here, and I wanted to have all of this. There were just a few episodes, 2 or 3 episodes that I wanted to have completely done before the baby got here, but just wasn't able to quite do it. But as I have been recovering postpartum, someone brought me a little snack, and it was pistachios. And actually on the back of the pistachio package were listed all of the minerals that were provided from these pistachio snacks. And I was like, I took a picture of it and I haven't posted it on social media. I wanted to post it on social media, so I probably will after this episode. But I was amazed because when you look at the back of a package, you don't normally see things like vitamins and minerals mentioned in those packages. Unfortunately, we want to put calories on there, and we want to put fat, and we want to put protein, and that's clearly a design by the food industry because yes, we need to understand our macronutrients, but before we ever understand our macronutrients, we need to understand our micronutrients, and those are the electrolytes. And you don't need to be getting electrolytes from Gatorade and all of these synthetic things that are now in our food. You need to get it from real sources. I get my electrolytes from Redmond's, Redmond salt. If you've heard of that, the real salt. I get their electrolyte powder, and I put that with my adrenal cocktail every time that I drink my adrenal cocktail because it tastes nasty, and it's real food that my body knows what to do with it. So how can you test for your micronutrients or your mineral levels, and what's the cost, right? All of these tests seem to always cost an arm and a leg, but I did an HTMA hair test. So that stands for Hair Test Mineral Analysis, and it cost me $100 out of pocket. On top of that, you do need someone who is knowledgeable in interpreting the data and someone who is trained to interpret that data so that they can tell you exactly what's going on, because it can look at everything from thyroid function to your metabolism to your gut health to your stress levels. It can even represent trauma that's going on in your body, your blood sugar levels. It represents a whole bundle of things, and it looks at your health over a 2-month period, but it can be kind of deceiving because it can show high levels of certain things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have a bunch of that mineral in your body. It can actually indicate stress and that you're simply burning through a lot, and so your body's getting rid of a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean, and so it can kind of get a little bit finicky if you don't actually know what you're looking at and how to look at all of the data together on one compiled sheet. And which is how minerals work anyways. When you take one mineral or one vitamin, it can deplete a lot of other vitamins and minerals. That's why you need to be testing for your mineral levels without just taking a bunch of supplements thinking that it's going to make you feel good. I want to share this example with you. My sister-in-law did some of the same testing that I did. We did HTMA hair testing through evenbetternow.com. When my sister-in-law did it, and I told her, here's some things you can start doing in the meantime, she was taking the adrenal cocktail with the magnesium. I like to add my magnesium into it as well. And so she was like, oh, it's just so salty. She's like, I just can't stand the taste of it. It made me gag. And I said, well, it's possible then that your sodium levels are high, because she couldn't stand the taste of the salt. And in other words, listen to your body. Your body will tell you. And sure enough, her salt levels, her sodium levels were through the roof whenever her HTMA hair test came back, which is a sign of severe stress. And she is burning through a whole lot. And so she needs to reduce her stress levels. So let's move on though to how do you replenish these things? How do you nourish your body? So one key aspect of recovery is to nourish your body through those micronutrients. Nutrition plays a pivotal role in restoring vitality after childbirth. In the mindset of sleepless nights and hectic schedules, it's crucial to prioritize wholesome, nutrient-dense foods. I cannot stress this enough that it needs to be through your foods, and it also needs to be, you're not going to be able to replenish through food alone. You're going to have to also replenish with supplements. That's just the part of it that has to be done, because you're just not going to be able to consume enough food to replenish what's been lost. You're going to be able to consume enough food to keep up with the daily demands that your body needs, but you're not going to be able to, you're now in debt. And so you're not going to be able to consume enough food in order to replace what's been lost. And so those supplements are going to help tremendously. And I will link all the supplements that I'm currently taking and that I have taken, just to give you an idea of how to get wholesome vitamins and minerals through food sources. So for instance, tons of people are taking a vitamin D supplement. Unfortunately, vitamin D, especially by itself, can actually deplete other nutrients, but it's also synthetic. Zinc is going to be synthetic unless you're getting it through oyster pills. Desiccated oyster pills is a great source of naturally occurring zinc in the environment. You're not getting a synthetic. And then cod liver oil is your way to get your vitamin D. The other way to get vitamin D is to eat your butter, eat your cholesterol, and then go out into the sunshine. The cholesterol turns into vitamin D. And in this book, The Postnatal Depletion Cure, he talks about that. And he says, don't take a shower for at least 20 minutes because the vitamin D is actually on your skin. And you want the sunshine to hit like your thighs and your stomach areas. That's where you will produce the most vitamin D. But you don't want to take a shower or get into the water and wash that vitamin D off. Isn't that so interesting that it actually is occurring on your skin? And so these are just things. So I made a list of things that I am doing and that I change in order to replenish postpartum and postnatally. These are just foods. And then again, I will try to quickly go over all of the supplements that I've taken in my daily routine, but switch to organic foods. You're going to have to switch to organic foods and get away from the chemicals in everything. You're just going to have to do it. Start drinking raw milk. If you're still nursing, you definitely need high fats. You need to be consuming high fats because you're putting a lot of fat. You need that in order to supply your milk supply. Bone broths have tons of micronutrients in it, so I make my own bone broth. That's another thing. Those are the kinds of recipes that you're going to get if you join the an Exodus birth course. I'm going to put these kinds of all of this information in the course, including recipes for these kinds of things. Eat plenty of fish 2 to 3 times a week. Red meat 2 to 3 times a week. Cook your vegetables. Cooking your vegetables is going to reduce the oxalates in it. It's going to make it easier to digest, especially if you are freshly recovering postpartum. Cook those vegetables. You need to eat easily and warm digestible food. You don't want to be eating foods that cause you to get cold. So don't eat ice cream or cold drinks because it actually causes the blood to pool in your abdomen, in the uterus there. And same when you're on your period. You want to do warm foods so that the blood is not pooling and causing heavier bleeding to go on. A great book to read for this is called The First 40 Days. I'm currently reading it, and I've actually made one of her recipes just today. And she touches on the warm foods and the reason for it and the blood pooling in the uterus. So you want to at least consume 2,000 to 3,000 calories. 2,000 calories, you want to shoot for that for sure. Better off to try and get 3,000. Keep your protein up while consuming complex carbs. So always, always, always consuming your protein first. is a sure way to balance your blood sugar. Blood sugar issues are are a huge contributing factor to weight gain as well. And so, a lot of women want to go on this postpartum diet, and unfortunately what that's actually doing, your metabolism has already slowed down during pregnancy, and then you go on this diet and you're actually sending your body into starvation mode, and your body's saying, okay, we're in famine, and so I'm going to slow everything down, and you're actually going to start gaining weight because you're not consuming enough to tell your metabolism to speed up. I hope that makes sense. Treat yourself with sweeteners like maple syrup, coconut sugar, and honey. If you're consuming it with a protein, these are highly nutritious sweeteners. They have lots of nutrients in them, lots of hydration in them, and you're not just consuming something that is just a quick fix that your brain needs. This is also nourishing your body at the same time. I suggest following a pro-metabolic guide. So that's the kind of nutritionist that I worked with. And if you just want to keep it really simple, just think about, how did my ancestors eat? That's really the best question that I can give someone if they are just wanting to start out but highly confused and highly overwhelmed on where to start with a nutrition plan or a diet. Just really start thinking back to, like, what did my ancestors eat? What did my great-great-grandmother eat? They didn't eat all these processed foods. They didn't eat and drink processed milk and pasteurized milk with all of these added synthetics back into it. Even our flour now, all of the good stuff is sifted out of it, and then it's bleached with literally bleach like you are washing your clothes in, just so it looks good and becomes shelf stable so that it'll last longer on the shelf. But what's it doing to your body? Your body is actually not lasting longer because it's not getting the nutrients that it's supposed to be getting from what God calls the bread of life. If God calls this the bread of life, then why is our bread causing us so many harmful diseases and all of these things going wrong in our body? And so collagen is a great thing. It is a building block for the proteins that you need in your body. So get you some good grass-fed collagen. Take your adrenal cocktails. Never, ever, ever drink too much caffeine, and definitely do not drink it on an empty stomach. Stop drinking caffeine first thing in the morning. Eat your breakfast first. Get something in your stomach to run off of. You've been fasting all that long, and that's what your break fast is. You're breaking your fast in the morning. But if you're drinking your coffee first thing in the morning, you're telling the car to go, 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 and it has no fuel in the tank. So you've got to get fuel in your tank before you put the gas, before you hit the pedal to go. So put some food in your stomach before you start drinking coffee. This is the reason, the real reason, when women say they cut out coffee so their anxiety stopped. That's the real reason. They can actually continue to still drink coffee if they will put some food on their stomach first. So I hope you had a pen and a notepad as you were listening to this episode, because I covered a lot of information in this one episode. Go back and listen to it if you need to with a pen and paper, but I'm going to list the 10 key takeaways and the action steps for you as we close out this episode. So the first things first, really this will be 11 things if I mention this first one, but get your mineral levels tested and interpreted by a professional through HTMA testing, hair testing, mineral analysis. And I tested at evenbetternow.com, which I will be sure to link in the show notes. It was $100 or $110, something like that. And then you can hire someone through that company to help you interpret it. I can share with you who I went through. I did not go through the company. I went through someone else, and she was amazing. Her name's Kimber Malden. But there are lots of HTMA interpreters out there. I know of a couple of others that I can refer you to. And in fact, the Lord showed me that that's basically who I am. I was asking him if he wanted me to start training in nutrition, and because I was learning so much and wanting to help so many women who I was learning they're just as depleted as I am, and we're only in our 30s, and this is just not fair to women. And he assured me, no, he did not want me to do any type of nutritional training. Now, I may end up doing some HTMA training where I can just interpret the data. But as far as becoming a nutritionist or someone who would work like one-on-one with clients in helping them to prepare nutrition plans. That's not necessarily what the Lord wants me to do, but He did tell me that I was a connector and that I would be referring people to those professionals that are highly trained in this area. And it was actually a huge relief whenever He showed me that. So I'm happy to help you find someone in this area. So get your minerals tested and hire someone to help you interpret that at evenbetternow.com. Replenish your micronutrients, which are your vitamins and your minerals. Balance your macronutrients, which are your protein, your carbs, and your healthy fats. Make sure you're getting your protein, your carbs, and your healthy fats in at every single meal. If you are in the restoration process, now it's kind of a little bit different. I've kind of moved into where I know my blood sugar is balanced, and so I can have an apple or a banana or something sweet on a somewhat empty stomach, but I also know it still can make me feel horrible. And so I always try to eat my protein first. If I'm just going to grab a little snack, I'll grab a cheese stick, or I'll eat my apple with peanut butter, or I will put collagen with my oatmeal or something like that. Just always making sure you are balancing and eating all 3 square meals and a few snacks through the day to balance that blood sugar out while your body's restoring. Okay, the third thing, eat organic, clean foods. The fourth thing, cut out processed foods. The fifth thing, aim for 3,000 calories a day, but getting at least 2,000 calories in. This seems like a whole lot, but the reason behind this is that you're teaching your metabolism to speed up. So there might be some weight gain or weight fluctuations in the beginning of the process, but know that those calories are actually teaching your body to feel safe, to calm down, and speed up. That it doesn't have to hold on to all of the things that it's been holding on to and the reason you couldn't lose weight in the first place. Number 6, supplement, which I will list as much as I can and link the best that I can in the show notes. Stop consuming caffeine on an empty stomach. Eat breakfast within an hour of waking up. Again, we went over that. You're breaking that fast as soon as you wake up in the morning. And then, head on over to the Facebook community or sign up for my emails to get the adrenal burnout test, which was mentioned in the last episode, but it's still available and I'll link it in the show notes. So be blessed. I hope that you are getting a lot of information from this. Reach out to me if you need more help or for me to clarify anything. This was a lot of information, but I want you to take back your health. I want you to know what you can do if you have just been in that limbo mode and not sure where to start, or if you've tried so many different things that just don't seem to be working. I hope that this is the answer you've been looking for. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Barefoot Parenting. If what you're doing works for you, is healthy for your family, and is growing you in the ways you need to grow, then it's time to step out of the feeling of guilt and shame and wear your Barefoot Mama badge proudly. Remember, barefoot parents are doing things differently, so be encouraged today. If you're feeling the pushback in your parenting style, you're doing something right.